Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today, wherever you are in this great world. We're gonna talk about XRP. And I gotta start with this from XRP Captain. Ripple vs. SEC. Legal expert pinpoints crucial date for XRP holders to watch. So Bill Morgan says that the June 16th date is the date when the SEC 60-day deadline to submit a status update to the Court of Appeals will end. This report deadline stems from earlier court proceedings that left unresolved matters requiring appellate review. According to Morgan, the expiration of this window could signal upcoming activity in the case, as the regulatory body is expected to notify the appeals court of any material developments. So what comes after that? If a properly submitted motion for an indicative ruling is accepted, Judge Torres would then need to clarify whether she would dissolve the standing injunction. This step is essential for the parties to proceed with requests involving the distribution of funds. $50 million would be transferred to the SEC and the remainder would be released back to Ripple. Following a favorable indicative ruling, both parties are expected to jointly request a limited remand from the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. If granted, Ripple and the SEC would return to Judge Torres' court to formally seek the agreed-upon relief. Once those conditions are fulfilled, the appellate court could dismiss both the SEC's appeal and Ripple's cross-appeal, effectively concluding the current phase of litigation. So it all starts on June 16th. We have to watch and see what happens on that day. This case looks like it can be all wrapped up by the end of summer. Let's hope it happens sooner than later, because once this case finally ends, that will put XRP on the path to price recovery. In other words, if this case would have never even started, right now XRP would already be between $8 and $13. So when this case wraps up, I expect XRP to recover to one of those price points, somewhere between $8 and $13. It seems like every time we are on the verge of that case finally coming to an end, it seems to continue to get delayed. Eventually, the delays will run out. SEC Commissioner Hester Pierce says agency won't provide guidance on Trump meme coins because the SEC doesn't regulate meme coins. Here's what she said.
I think something like a meme coin, again, facts and circumstances always matter, but something like a meme coin is more like a collectible, right? And so does it even make sense to have the securities laws apply to something like that? I think most of us would probably say no. It's important for people who are buying those to understand they're not getting the protections of the securities laws. And so I think we will try to provide more of that kind of guidance. Again, fundamentally, this is about getting a clear set of rules. If Congress then decides we want to have the meme coin regulatory commission, I guess they could set that up. I don't know that we would think that's necessarily a great idea. But you can always fill a regulatory gap if you see it. I'm someone who looks at the world a little bit differently, and I say, look, if you're buying a meme coin and you're expecting to become a billionaire because you buy the meme coin, like, buyer beware. You can become a billionaire one day and the next day you're back to zero again. So
look at it like this. Most meme coins, a lot of people make a lot of money, but then it comes time to sell and there's no liquidity there for you to sell the actual coin. But how would 99% of crypto disappear then? Here's what I think is going to happen. It's going to be very similar to what we see with Mika. In other words, Tether cannot pass MiCA regulations, so it's delisted off of all the exchanges. I think the same thing will happen with meme coins once we get crypto regulatory clarity for crypto. All of a sudden, the exchanges will just start delisting meme coins. I think that's the path that we are already on. It's not going to be the SEC. It's going to be what Congress passes in Washington. Ripple urges SEC to launch real-world crypto sandboxes, and this is a great idea. So we believe a regulatory sandbox for digital asset products like tokenized real-world assets allows digital asset markets, innovative products, and value-creating services to operate in a controlled environment while subject to regulatory oversight. Regulatory sandbox should go beyond limited, small-scale pilots. They should simulate production-like conditions, enabling firms to test products and infrastructure under circumstances that closely mirror real market environments. I think that's great because then the SEC can actually see if a product works or not. Kind of like what's going on the private ledger. The banks, they're in a testing phase. Most likely, they're testing XRP at different price points before they go live with XRP to see if XRP at $100 would be the right price point to make everything go seamless once they go live. If it doesn't, then they push XRP to a higher price point. Okay, at $250, XRP can now make sure that all of this moves seamlessly, all of this value. But until they come out of the testing phase, the price of XRP is where it's at today. Same thing would happen here. You test out innovation before it goes live in the market. This comes from Blue Hawk Legend. It's not a risk if you've done your research. Just from the headline alone, this sounds like he's gambling and tossing his money where the hype is. He will be broke again within 5 years if he gains the wealth he's looking for. So I took the risk and bought 10,000 XRP, expert says. It's not even a risk. I look at XRP. When you're buying it, it's not like gambling. What it is you're buying something that has real-world value, real-world use case. And you don't even need to buy 10,000 XRP. They always want to be out there bragging, well, I just bought X amount of XRP. And I'm looking at it as if I lose it, oh well. They always try to add that in as well. And then it makes other people believe that they should be buying more and more XRP. Listen, it doesn't matter how much XRP you're holding if you have a great game plan. But XRP is in no way gambling. And Xena XRP put out a great post. King Valak says he calls for investors to hold at least 50,000 XRP. I mentioned this in a video a few videos back. And I said, this guy doesn't know his audience. Because most people right now cannot acquire 50,000 XRP. They're working 9 to 5 ordinary people that put money into XRP hoping to get financial freedom at some point or even make life-changing money. And Xena said this, absolutely not. Avoid the people trying to make others feel bad about their amount of XRP. I guarantee you that's not the minimum required. And if that's what you think, you don't really know the potential of XRP long term. I said it many times. Accumulate as much as you can, of course, but don't stress about it. This is not how it works. And if having a lot of XRP makes some people feel good about themselves, remember that some of you having less will probably do better than them in the long run. Better investment, better money management, better opportunity. Some of you are very skilled and will be able to multiply their wealth, while some of those big bag holders won't really do anything with that money besides showing they are rich, thinking they are now powerful. Believe me, a lot of you will do very well. It doesn't matter if you see people becoming billionaires and you have only $50 million. Anybody who tells you that's not enough and can't live with that doesn't know how life works. Like I said, have a great game plan, and it doesn't matter how much XRP you're holding. Think about it like this. If you're going to reinvest some of the money you make in this run, you always got to be putting your money to work for you, no matter what. If you cash out all your entire bag, make sure you put that money to work for you. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse speaking at XRP Las Vegas. People underestimate what can happen over the next 4 years. What will XRP price be 4 years from now? So I wanted to talk about this in a different way. Think about it like this. Where are you going to be 4 years ago? You should be financially free if you have a great game plan. Within the next 4 years, I expect XRP to surpass 589. We're already on the verge of institutional adoption. We already see the early signs of liquidity pools. ISO is also coming. So if you have a great game plan, you should be getting monthly returns off of your crypto. Decent monthly returns off of your crypto. Then you take some of that money month over month and you reinvest it back into XRP or some other altcoin, something that has utility. And then you get more passive income as well, always acquiring more and more wealth along the way. So 4 years from now, you should be financially free. That's the way I look at it. Brad Garlinghouse talks about rewriting the entire banking system. Take a listen.
I will say some, even in the XRP family, it's like, look, the Bitcoin community is not our enemy. They really are not. If they do well, we're going to do well. We might do better. It's just like, it's not a zero-sum game. And I think the one thing I learned, I was in Silicon Valley for 24 years. The one thing you learn is tech is not a zero-sum game. We're going to grow the pie. And David Schwartz was up here yesterday talking about rewiring the entire banking system and what this looks like maybe in 10 years or 20 years. We underestimate how big that change is and how profound it is. And we get there by being collaborative and working together, not against each other. Sorry.
So Brad once again calls for peace between the XRP community and the Bitcoin community. I'm all for that. The problem is, Bitcoin maxis, they think Bitcoin is not even crypto. They think it's something way above what we're holding. And it's hard to get along with Bitcoin maxis. But when he says 10 to 20 years, this is going to happen long before that, long before 10 years from now. The new financial system is only a few years away, if that. You already see everything pushing over to digital already. You also see how institutional adoption is beginning. And I say beginning because it's going to be so much bigger than what we're seeing right now. That's why I said 4 years from now, you should be financially free. You should be financially free even before 4 years if everything is going according to plan. And the way things are accelerating now. Remember, David Schwartz said within 12 to 24 months, we will have institutional adoption. And that was like 4 months ago he said that. So right after institutional adoption, you could expect mass adoption. Look at all the ways to earn off of your XRP that are opening up right now as well. Corporations are quietly loading $400 million plus in XRP. You're watching the price, they're watching the rails. These are those announcements that came out over the past week with Weebus and Vivo Power. And these are the people that are going to be buying your XRP when you're selling too soon. Institutions, they're going to be buying up as the we can sell. And we're going to continue to watch that happen because there's going to be more sellers on the way up than there are right now while XRP goes sideways. And you're going to have people selling at $5, $10, $15. And at the same time, you're going to have FOMO buyers buying their first XRP at those price points as well. It is going to be a crazy time. So many awesome XRP Ledger projects pitching at XRP Las Vegas. And they're all around payments. Do you ever take notice to that? Whenever they build on the XRP ledger, it's always around payments, smart contracts, and things like that. It's never about, like, you know, these meme coin projects. Sure, there's meme coins on the XRP ledger, but the serious projects are building out around cross-border payments, on-demand liquidity, things like that. It shows you how the XRP ledger is built for that institutional adoption. I'm expecting tokenization to start to really amp up with regulations later this year as well. That's going to bring trillions of dollars to the XRP ledger alone. And you still don't think you're going to be financially free over the course of the next 4 years. Absolutely, that is going to happen. And until it does happen, stay patient, stay positive, and let's get rich together. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.